we'll just,
Right.
you just click that to go on to
Will
the next
do.
slide.
Right. So this, as you can see at the bottom, was a presentation we gave to UK Chamber of Shipping just a couple of weeks ago. This is such a hot topic. We're literally moving amongst each other, trying to get it covered. And Andrew and I work quite closely together because he's advising the IG from ITOP's perspective on the state and behavior of fuels for our benefit as well. So we'll quickly just work through the background, exclusions, a little look at how we risked up the HNS convention, what the position is on blue cards, that, you know, right of direct action that victims of pollution have against financial security providers. And then we'll touch on what the IG is doing in our alternative fuels working group, because everyone has an alternative fuels working group, it seems like nowadays. So historically, we take quite an inclusive view towards cover. We don't like saying no to members. It's we are a mutual organization, so our ship owners actually run us and tell us what they want in the cover. We try to adapt and change as much as possible. And we do provide cover already for the carriage and handling of methanol, ammonia as cargoes, LNG, LPG, all that. But there's no restriction from an IG pooling level on the use of these as bunkers as well. So if a vessel comes on that is using ammonia as dual fuel ammonia, there's no restriction on any international group P&I club placing that cover and the rest of the clubs covering that risk when a claim falls into a pool, so claims over $10 million. We are not going to be dictating the fuel choices of ship owners, so that's absolutely not what we do, and it's not what we think we should be doing. We don't want to stymie competition, and we absolutely have to help our ship owners meet their IMO greenhouse gas goals. There is one exclusion I want to highlight, and Andrew alluded to earlier, is that nuclear is on the horizon. We realize that. So we are working with consultants like ENCO to kind of measure up the risks of that. But for the time being, nuclear fueled vessels are excluded from cover. Pollution damage from nuclear fueled vessels would be excluded from standard P&I IG cover. Now, I always get asked, you know, is the risk of alternative bunker fuels higher than, and how are you going to price that up or risk that up? We tend to use the data that we developed back in 2021, where we looked at a 10-year span of HNS type claims that would have been deemed damage under the HNS convention. You'll see that it was quite a low incident rate, because if you're taking all of the then 13 clubs, you're looking at 220 incidents over effectively a decade. And of those 226 were attributable to products that could then be used as alternative fuels. And I know we're kind of comparing apples with oranges because now we're looking at handling in a very different way. But from our perspective, the risk is generally quite low. What we are very concerned about, and what our alternative fuels working group is looking at, is the gaps in liability conventions. So if you had a spill of traditional fuel oil from a vessel, you would have something like the CLC or the bunker convention in place that would allow victims of pollution to have a direct right of recourse against financial security providers. They'd have a very quick and easy compensation regime and nice handy, you know, pamphlets from the IMO saying this is how you fill in your claim. The problem with alternative fuels is they don't fit under the definitions of oil within the bunkers or the CLC conventions. So it's not hydrocarbon mineral oil for these. The extent of the definition of pollution damage under the bunkers convention requires contamination. Some of the damage that you get from spills or explosion and fire risks from these alternative fuels don't really meet the definition of a contaminant or contamination. HNS, it was meant to be the end-all be-all of liability and compensation regimes. That was how it was built. It isn't. The HNS convention, which isn't in force yet, we hope it will be in the next couple of years, but those substances are only you're only given a blue card for HNS when the ship is carrying HNS as cargo, not as bunkers. So this is I put it on here, maybe you'll have it later. It's quite a long slide, quite dense, but as we've said, the conventions are not going to respond to the incidents involving any of the alternative fuels we've mentioned when used as bunkers, although they will still fall within P&I club cover. It's just that you won't have that direct right of action again. You might get incidents where the compulsory insurance isn't in place as it would have been under the bunker convention. And it doesn't offer that comfort that the conventions were built for. So, you know, these conventions came out of the Torrey Canyon. They came out of the Prestige, the Erica, and these are why we have that right of victims to come and get easy compensation is why we have these. And it feels a bit lopsided that you're not going to be able to have that for an alternative fuel spill in the future. So just looking at what we're doing at IG level, we are working on the safety and the crew training side as well through a different committee, but in our pollution committee, we are obviously doing this gap analysis, working with ITOP, ICS, CMI and Shanghai Maritime University. And looking at that nuclear bit as a slightly longer tail. So Clarksons are saying, you know, 2030, we're going to start seeing like that commercial demand for nuclear fueled commercial vessels. So we are thinking about that ahead of time. But at the moment, we see that as the type of risk and the type of liabilities that are just too different from the rest of the fuels that are out there. And that's it for me.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you, Erin.